That 123 million, I'm asking a question. Could that be in the form of cash?
As long as I'm authorized to start spending 123 million today, the committee ought to move forward through a process. Our contract says I'm here today seeking approval of the JBRC, and in a subsequent meeting, I'm in front of the Budget Control Board.
All right. So I think your answer was, I'm pretty slow this morning, I understand that. I think your answer was, as long as you get 123 million, you don't really care where it comes from.
Well, sir, again, my contract says I'm here from JBRC, and then I'm going to the Budget Control Board. As to how those two bodies supply the money.
That's not my question. My question is, any way you get the money, you're okay with it, right?
Mr. Chairman, what was important during the negotiations, and this was a real horse race right down to the very end, and I was on the small working team that went several times over to Sweden, and we made unequivocal our representations to the company that we had the funds available, and quite frankly, Mr. Chairman, if we had to say that that in order to have the money available to fund the project, that it would require legislative authorization, I'm not sure we would have won the project.
I understand that, but the funds will be available. That's a commitment the state has made, and I assure the whole world the state makes a commitment, we're going to do that. It's a matter of how we're going to do it. My question is, if you get the 123 million, I guess that's the important thing, is it not?
Yes, sir, and respectfully, we would ask that the authorization be made.
I understand.
And then I think it would be a fabulous result too.
Well, I understand that, but would it be just as fabulous to have 123 million in cash?
It would.
Okay, that's all.
But I don't know. I mean, the problem is not Volvo, first and foremost. The problem, I think, is how this whole thing has been handled out of the governor's office by making promises that says we don't need the legislature. This is a legislative body that has to approve. It's a legislative state, and the only person that can obligate the debt of the state of South Carolina is the legislature. So I think that's kind of where, we all love Volvo. We're going to adhere to our commitments. I am intending to vote for this 123 million authorization today. You and I have had many conversations over the past several weeks. I told you I thought this is probably one of the worst bonding deals we've ever done. We're going to get into the treasurer here in a minute and explain that. But what really bothered me the most, Secretary Hitt, was the governor's letter, where to this committee states that the chairman and my speaker, Lucas, made a commitment back in April of the letters they put out. Y'all attached the letters to these things. Those commitments for economic development bonds was based on $50 million worth of capacity. So that's my problem. And it looks like it's been spun to say these gentlemen that signed these letters agreed to the 123 million. I think the total project cost was about 120, and those items were discussed. But the 123 in economic development bonds was not discussed. And when it came back to that, I don't think there was any communication. There may have been some with the leadership to say this is what we're going to how to do it. That's my problem. My problem's not with Volvo. My problem's not with them or the job that you've done, and you've done an excellent job. The governor does a great job selling. But the communication in this has been horrible. And that's my problem. I'm not interfering with holding up because we made a commitment. I'm more, you know how I feel about Volvo. Ways and Means Committee members, when we have cash on hand, we made a commitment to Volvo by putting $70 million in a supplemental appropriation that we'll take up. But kind of how this letter, comes about and say, people publicly get out there and be against bonds. I got thrown under the bus a lot for a bond. Now it's okay to bond, and saying folks made promises, now we got to do it. Well, the promise wasn't for the full 123 in an economic development bond. We know that. So that's my issue. I'm proud to have Volvo in the